There's the youth there. I think this is where Roma finally gets the breakthrough. This is a statement win. This is going to be one of those victories that's only worth 3 points on the table, yes, but it means so much more. They find a way to win 2-0.
Interesting fact, you've only picked one home team to win. You don't trust the home field advantage, do you?
Considering I don't know who's home.
I told you they were at Juventus, by the way.
Well, it's fine.
I would like to say this. I think it's unfair to say that Juventus is old. I think it's really unfair to say that. Sure, Pirlo is old. Buffon is old. Yet, the rest of their team is kind of pretty young. Vidal, Alvaro Morata, of course, was injured. Pogba, you've got Kingsley Coman. Evra is older and Tevez is older. But you've got still some young, talented players on the team. It's still a good team. But, that being said, AS Roma has played brilliantly. The question is, who is actually going to play? And, of course, both those teams coming off of Champions League matchups. It's going to be tough to tell who's going to play in that matchup, and that could determine it. At the end of the day, I'm going to be that guy again. 2-2 draw. 3 draws for me. I think this week is full of draws. I think the fact that these teams are...
I'm with draw, just become an artist.
I think that the fact that there are... I think it's understandable. Last week I went with all teams winning except for one. Surprisingly, I've done pretty poorly with draws. We'll give you the quick pick standings in a second. But I think this week we've got a lot of home teams playing against teams that I think are better. But they need draws, or they're fighting for those draws. And I think Roma and Juventus are both going to be tired coming off that Champions League matchup. And I think that plays into the 2-2 draw. And, yeah. That brings us to the end of this. By the way, the standings right now. In third, Byron with 20. And a record of 17-3. In case you want to know how it works. Person who gets... If you get the winner right, you get 1 point. If you get the score right, you get an extra 2.
When's the last time Byron has actually made his picks?
He's made his pick every week.
Really?
Yeah.
He's gotten them in the 11th hour.
Yeah. Jake in second with 21, only 1 point ahead of Byron. 15-15 record.
15-15?
Yeah.
How is he 17-3 and I'm 15-15?
17-13.
Oh.
You've gotten more score rights. And in first place, with a whopping 30, and a record of 18-12. Me. I'm pretty satisfied with that table. Yeah. So.
Tables done.
What?
Speaking of tables, we have 8 little mini tables to quickly run through, perhaps, for the Champions League to bring that in. Are we doing that?
Well, can we not? Because of the fact that we've only had like one game played. I feel like we should just talk about it instead.
I agree.
We've done a lot of tables. We've done a lot of like bland stuff. It's time to talk. It's time to get a little more debate in. And we're going to start, well, let's try to condense this a bit. We'll go with the favorites in the Champions League, which we can also mix in with dark horses. Jake, who are your favorites? Who are your dark horses for this year's Champions League?
Follow the money. That's normally with championships end up. Real Madrid, of course, an early favorite. Look, I know they've struggled, but look at the talent they have in this
We've
team.
also won our last 3 14-2, or 14-3, so.
Yeah. Also, Chelsea. I like what I'm seeing from Chelsea. Yes, they slipped up against Schalke, but look, there's still 5 games left to be played in the group stage. The way they've been playing, at least in the Prem, have been fantastic. Noah, thank you for raising your hands. I'll call on you now.
You're continuing with the follow the money theme. That's another big spending team there too.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's see. Let's see if we have any low spending teams. Make our favorites.
Let's see. Well, for Bayern Munich, I mean, look, the Bundesliga isn't exactly the sexiest league there is. But Bayern gets it done. And, after their unceremonious last-place finish in the group stage last year, they are back for blood. Bayern Munich, I think, is the third favorite there. At fourth and final, because I feel like 4 favorites just sounds a little better than 3. Barcelona.
Oh,
they're first place in Spain
you
right
just
now.
snubbed Atletico so badly.
What?
How do you think Atletico feels about this?
I'm sorry, Atletico. I'm sorry. But the problem is, Atletico, where are you right now? You're in second place. You tied with Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yeah.
FC Porto has 3 points after beating Bate or BATE by 6. So, sorry. Yeah. Also, we're following the money here. Barcelona, as they would say there, is the fourth and final of my favorites. They're in the leading Group F right now, and it's not an easy group, but I expect them to continue their elite performance. So if it all goes how I expect it to, Chelsea, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich will be the final 4 pillars standing atop the mountain that is UEFA Champions League.
Okay, interestingly enough, only one difference from last year's semi-final in Jake's picks. Of course, that being Atletico Madrid made the semi-finals last year.
And not Bayern.
No, Bayern was in the semi-finals.
Bayern was...
They made it. They lost to Real Madrid, I think 7-1 on aggregate or something like that. 7-0.
Okay, well, this guy... Maybe I was wrong about Spartak Moscow, because, they just did it again. The ESPN Score Center app has decided that they're going to change tables. They're stuck in this sort of time paradox thing here. So the Bayern finished last in their group last year. That didn't sound right.
Yeah, that didn't happen, Jake. Good try, though.
Spartak Moscow, I apologize.
Well, they didn't do very well anyways. My favorites, I'm going to start with my favorite, Real Madrid. Look, not an amazing start, but it's a pretty crazy offensive team. Defense, it's pretty shaky. I can't do the Oh, there we go. I got the that time. See, the voice is definitely one of the favorites.
Over American Idol guy?
Yeah. Definitely one of the favorites. Bayern, I agree with you. Chelsea, I agree with you. One difference, I'm going Atletico. I will not neglect last year's La Liga champions and finalists. No. I'm going to give some love to my most hated team. I'm going to give some love to them. Them and Barcelona. And Liverpool. Sorry to all those fans. I just can't. I can't. That's in soccer, not any other sport. But I gotta give them some love. Dark horses, Jake. You didn't get to talk about those, but I'll start for once. My first dark horse, Atletico Madrid, after tying with Olympiacos last week. Not Shakhtar, Jake. Not Shakhtar. Olympiacos. I have Olympiacos making it out of that group over Juventus. That's one of my big upsets. And I think that might be it, to be honest. Out of all of my surprises, I think Ajax could be a dark horse. Jake, what are you doing?
I was trying to cue the opera singers that sing. I'm not even going to try and go soprano here. But what kind of theme song is this? UEFA! This is not how you appeal to the demographic of 18 to 31.
Yeah, well, apparently they've appealed pretty well because lots of people love it. So, dark horses.
$1,000 to anyone who can hit that "The Champions" behind us. Can you do that, Noah, with your voice?
No, I don't even want to try. So, dark horses. Olympiacos, I think, is definitely up there. You know what? I want to find, another dark horse. I'm going to go Porto. I like what they're doing, especially because they have Jackson Martinez. And I'm wearing my Colombia jersey right now. So, gotta rep the Colombians. I think they are a threat as well in the dark horse category. Jake, dark horses.
Dark horses. Well, I too think Olympiacos is there. They won the game in a pretty unconventional manner. We'll be talking about that in everyone's favorite own goal segment. But yeah, Olympiacos, I see definitely they can get out of that group over Juventus as well. My other team, though, Bayer Leverkusen. They've been playing pretty well. Their group isn't too difficult. They've got Zenit, Monaco, and Benfica.
Well, they lost to Monaco in their first game.
I know, they lost one. They lost by 1-0. And they were trailed by 3 points. But again,
João Moutinho. It was Moutinho. Jake, it was your Portuguese. See, Jake, the Portuguese come through for you at the or come through not when you want them to. In case you don't know the reference, Jake picked, I believe, Portugal to make it to the final of the World Cup.
At the last minute, I had Argentina there originally, and changed it about 2 hours before the first game between Brazil and Croatia. Also, Ajax could be interesting. And what about FC Porto? Look, I know it's not so much of a dark horse, and they'll probably make it out of their group. But hey, they're not to be ignored. Anytime you can score 6 goals.
I have a dark horse to win it, actually. I think they actually could make it to the semifinals.
Well, so we keep a close eye on Porto. At the end of the day, though, there can only be one champion in the Champions League. The champion of all champions. Who is that champion? No.
Well, the final. Mourinho. He's gonna make it. And he will face off against his former club, Real Madrid, in one of my... This game will be so fun. I'm going Real Madrid. Mourinho sulks in the fact that he was not able to defeat the team he left. Ancelotti, with a 4th Champions League title, something nobody has ever done. Yeah, nobody's ever won 3 anyways. Continues to win Champions Leagues and rubs it in Mourinho's face with a simple, yeah, you're pretty good, but do you have 4 Champions League titles? And Real Madrid goes home champions.
Well, this is kind of where the philosophy stops and a new one comes into play. Annoyingly, I completely agree with you here in that Chelsea and Real Madrid will face off in the final. And for the first time in what could literally be years, I'm going to go against my preseason choice to win a tournament. And I will give it to Chelsea. Because of the way they've been playing.
Oh, so now we get to debate. Now we get to debate, actually.
Because of the motivation. Because of Mourinho. Look, maybe it's off and on win here. Maybe it's because there's extra motivation for Chelsea and Real Madrid is just continues to win everything. And because of the turmoil there,
we get to debate.
I've watched more of Chelsea than I've watched Real Madrid, but I think the way Chelsea has performed. No one said it himself to me 2 weeks ago that they were looking like the best team in Europe. This is 2 weeks later.
Yes. Jake.
But I like Chelsea.
Jake, how can you say that they've been playing better when they tied with Schalke? Meanwhile, Real Madrid has outscored their opponents 14-3. I understand you say it because you think they're a better team in the long run, but playing better as of late, nobody has played quite as well as Real Madrid in the past couple games. Not to mention Chelsea.
There's only been one game in the Champions League.
And outside of the Champions League, Chelsea hasn't been amazing. And they drew with Manchester City, but that's a Manchester.
And they're fifth.
That's the whole year. We're talking about late. You just said they were playing better as of late. Nobody is playing better than Real Madrid as of late. I don't. Here's the thing. I think that we are way too early to judge Real Madrid and Chelsea because of the fact that these are both teams that are they've changed, I guess, a bit. Chelsea is, I think they're getting to know each other a lot quicker, and it's molded a lot faster. But Real Madrid just completely reshaped their midfield. To expect them to come out and perform amazingly is a little bit, I think it's a little ridiculous. To be honest.